Kyle, good to see you. I have a very important question. Should I pay off my mortgage before I retire? I think a lot of us want to go into retirement debt free, and it's not just a financial, but also an emotional decision. But before you pay off the debt, we're going to walk through a few considerations. And first among them is your mortgage rate.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Erin. This is a big question because this is something that we hear about a lot. I think
Right.
this is a common goal that people kind of set out for. And yeah, it's definitely more of an emotional goal from my experience. Not a lot of people come in with a spreadsheet and say, hey, here's why I'm going to pay off my mortgage.
Right.
It's more of like, I want to do this.
Hmm.
And absolutely, the interest rates play a big part of that. So COVID happened, a lot of people moved, interest rates fluctuated. And so you've got mortgages, I think, across the spectrum here if you haven't refied.
Hmm.
So if you had bought a house in 21, you're probably in the 3% range. Whereas if you're buying now, like you see on the screen right there, a 30-year mortgage is about 6.5%, give or take. It fluctuates a little bit, but that's, I mean, what, doubled in a little over a year.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's
definitely
definitely a
going to change the
consideration.
math.
Yeah.
Really important consideration. So next, let's talk through the tax consequences of either paying off your mortgage or using money from your retirement accounts to pay down your mortgage.
Right. And so I don't have a spreadsheet to throw up on the screen or anything, but I can definitely look at just some basic statistics or basic numbers in terms of conceptualizing what the mortgage costs you in retirement,
Hmm.
cash flow wise, right? So the Bureau of Labor Statistics came out with a number, right? The most recent numbers show that the housing expense for a retiree is about 1/3 of their budget. Okay.
Interesting.
So, but if you think about it, your mortgage, if you're used to just paying everything escrowed, your mortgage is not just your principal and your interest, which is what you can theoretically pay off. You're always going to have real estate taxes and you're always going to have your homeowner's insurance. So
Right.
there's a part of that third of your budget that's always going to be there.
Hmm.
So if you're looking at, hey, I'm going to retire, I can access my 401k without penalties now. Should I pull out of that to pay down what's left? You really have to think about it because that could be taxable too if it's a traditional 401k.
Right. Yeah, another good point. So as interest rates climb, that will make paying down certain debt more expensive. So how do we prioritize paying down that debt?
That's a great question. To me, it's an opportunity cost conversation. Vanguard came out with some numbers that, hey, even after 2022 and how poorly that year went for investors for the most part, the average globally diversified 60/40 portfolio was up about 6.1%
Hmm.
over average annualized over 10 years, right? So if you are one of those people that have a 3% mortgage, let's just say it's a relatively newer one, you know, does it make more sense for me to try to pay down this line of credit essentially that has a low bearing interest rate, or can I do something else with a substantial amount of my savings and try to earn interest on those dollars? To us, it all comes down to an income and expense analysis. It's the cornerstone of any financial plan. You have to know what's coming in and what's going out, and from there you can start to create a series of solutions and little plans on how to manage debt and savings.
Yeah, great point. I know you wanted to hit on home equity lines of credit too, because those can be some of those really high interest rates, right? HELOCs, as they're known.
Absolutely. So this became really popular as home prices started to spike
Right.
shortly after COVID and all the stimulus that was happening, right? And so more and more I hear that people took out a HELOC. Well, most of these HELOCs are a variable rate of interest. Okay. Right now, the average is in that 6-7% range, and that's going to keep going up if rates keep going up. So that could be one of those things that could balloon and become an issue for some retirees, especially if they've accessed a lot of that line of credit. So,
Mhm.
that's a little different than the mortgage conversation because that may not be a fixed rate.
Right. Good point. Okay. Now, let's say that I've paid down that high interest debt. Then do I focus on my mortgage or should I be prioritizing other savings instead?
Great point. To me, it comes down to what are your savings currently sitting at? How are they set up, right? Do you have a minimum of 6 to 12 months in your rainy day fund, kind of in
Right.
savings or money market? If not, you need to build that up. Otherwise, you're probably going to take on more credit, right? And you're going to keep snowballing, and we'll keep talking about paying off debt.
All right, Kyle, thank you so much for talking through this. And again, as we talk through it, I think a lot of people may think they feel a certain way, but after you start doing the math behind it, it may change how you feel and change the whole decision. So if somebody wants to walk through these numbers with you and better crunch the income and expenses, what's the best way to reach you?
Best ways through our website, firstcoastfinancialgroup.com.
All right, Kyle, thank you so much.
Thank you, Erin.